All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Malachi, and today we're going to talk about why I think Ratchet and Clank for the PS2 would make for an excellent randomizer. If you don't know, Randomizer is a mod that randomly reassigns some aspect of the game, be that the map layout, enemy placement, or my personal favorite, shuffling the game items, which give you access to more areas. So, like in a Zelda game, for instance, that would be the contents of chests, quest rewards, and so on. The best ones, or maybe just the most developed randomizers, have a number of different options for, we'll call it the size of the pool. That is, what items and locations are included in the big shuffle. At its most basic, I envision a mod that forces players to adapt and face challenges in a different way from how the vanilla game presents them. Ratchet and Clank divides its collectibles into 5 different types: weapons, gadgets, items, gold bolts, and infobots, which unlock new planets. And there's actually a great deal of overlap when it comes to the different ways that you collect them. Gold bolts are always just chilling out in the world and are collected by walking up to them, but so are certain items, gadgets, and even weapons. I'm looking at you, suck cannon! Most weapons are acquired at the Gadgetron vendors throughout the game, but some are also sold by NPCs. In fact, NPCs represent the most checks in the game, probably. I haven't actually counted yet. But if you put together all of the story quest rewards, side quests, and optional upgrades that you would buy from them, they vastly outweigh gold bolts and the aforementioned freestanding upgrades. So let's jump in. I'll assume that you have at least a fundamental understanding of how the game is structured in vanilla for you to be interested in this video. We're going to get plunked down right on Novelist with only the Walloper and a gold bolt in our inventory. Fine, we'll platform our way up to the plumber, and he's going to give us the infobot with coordinates to Blackwater City on Rilgar. Well, shoot, we say, because we can't get to anything on Rilgar without the helipack. We're playing this casually. I know that there are ways, but I think for general consumption, we're going to think about this from a casual perspective, and that's going to be a better entry point into creating this mod. So we can't go to Rilgar, so instead, back on Novelist, we go to save the chairman. It's the other primary path that is available to us on Novelist. So we go do that, and wouldn't you know it, he gives us the helipack. So now we actually can go to Rilgar, and then the game will continue to open up from there, and so on and so forth, Many randomizers have amended the game so that certain story flags are already tripped, which will allow much more of the game to be explored than the vanilla game would allow with an empty inventory. I could see Ratchet and Clank allowing for either the scenario I just described, or you could start each seed with the planets all available from the get-go. That would really just be player preference. I personally will always prefer the infobots to be shuffled in, because I find randomizers more interesting when the easy early game checks aren't super accessible every single seed. For those of you who know Ocarina of Time randomizers, what I'm talking about is the satisfaction of finally finding Mido's house after a long, confusing seed. Nothing like it. An obvious way to ramp this up is to include checks that don't grant progress in the vanilla game. Gold bolts are the obvious example of this. Including them in the shuffle will significantly increase the amount of knowledge required of the player, in addition to making more items useful. Certain bolts, for instance, are hidden behind destructible walls, which require an explosion to open, and only certain weapons create explosions. We actually have a working prototype without logic currently, and in the test seed that I was sent, the Hydro Pack was unlocked by acquiring the Mind Glove, of all things. That's the kind of cool stuff that shuffling this game will create. These interactions that in vanilla just don't exist, or don't matter, would be a better way to say it. Speaking of the prototype, Ongar, the wizard behind the current pre-alpha type release and the original proof of concept, actually found a way to attach upgrades to the skill point triggers throughout the game as well. So just imagine what the game might ask of you with skill points shuffled in. At that point, even the Sonic Summoner could unlock something, which I bypassed in my Let's Play that I did last year because I was trying to keep the pace up and I didn't want to grind for bolts. And it doesn't do anything until really late into the game, and it's only side questy type stuff, if I remember correctly. Feel free to correct me in the comments. So, yeah, the randomizer in its current form. Ongar figured out a way to use GameShark codes to remove all the story flags and then tie the upgrades to gold bolts. So currently, the only way to acquire more items is to collect the bolts themselves. It's a brilliant proof of concept, and if you want to try it out for yourself, links are actually available below. Instructions on how to get it working are included in the download, and it's really a ton of fun. you should absolutely check it out. If this is at all interesting to you, it's totally worth your time. He also made a little HTML program which shuffles the upgrades around. The format's the same and there's no logic, as I said before, but pitching a randomizer for Ratchet and Clank at this point is a little bit late because it exists. But I genuinely think that this would work and be a really cool, fun thing to do. I could see randomizer races for speedrunners like they do for Zelda games and Metroid games and things. And so if you want to help us get it moving, or getting moving forward in terms of complexity and user friendliness, there's a Discord link below as well. So that's going to be where you can find it in its current form, which is a little bit different than the Reddit link. We'd really love the help. The more, the merrier. On a personal note, part of what's so cool about this to me is the fact that this isn't the only game in the series that it'll work for. Going Commando structure is very, very similar to Ratchet 1's, but the levels are cooler, the gadgets are more interesting, and then the weapon leveling system, it adds a whole nother dimension of gameplay to an already winning formula. So if we can get this off the ground, imagine what we could accomplish down the road. And that's all I have to say, friends. What do you think? I'd love to hear your concerns, field questions, and the like. Once I get my head around some of the more advanced movement, I'm going to start streaming no logic seeds to show you all how cool it is in real time, and hopefully that'll get this project even more exposure. But, as I say, that's all I have prepared. Can you think of other games that have randomizers, that should have randomizers, but don't? I can. I'm planning on making a couple more of these videos, especially if this does well. And then also, what do you think about some of the later games, like Up Your Arsenal, or even Deadlocked? Would randomizers work for those? Or do the structures of those games not really allow for it the same way that 2002 and Going Commando would? Let me know. I'd love to discuss. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'm supposed to say that. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. I've been Malachi Champion. Peace.